So let's have a poke at this. My trees were a little, they came to about here and then stopped, and I needed to make it a little more interesting. I wasn't worried about it before because I wasn't really making a painting. When I first did this, it was just an illustration of creating a pile of gray, and from that gray, bending colors and mostly values one way or the other. So I think what we'll do now is, now it can go two ways. Here, let me just grab another panel and show you what I mean. The idea is to drop 2 inches off the bottom of this. Changes the composition, makes it more about the sky, and how it's born out of these dark silhouettes in front. But just purely compositionally speaking, we could also take a couple inches off the top. That would work. But then we need to make it more about, there has to be much more interest here. So, it could even stay the shape that it is, and just using values and colors, I could balance the two. But we need to pull the interest away from sort of halfway up the painting, We would likely have harder lines down here, strengthen this, but keep it dark and less important. But I still think I'm going to go with my initial inclination, and that is, we'll drop the bottom 2 inches. So let's pretend they're not there. Okay, I'm not going to cut it right now. Right now we're just going to play with the sky. So it's going to be a cold, uninviting, stormy painting. The kind that I actually prefer. And I don't think I'm going to have to do a whole lot to this bottom area, except just put a little more paint in there. So we're playing with cobalt blue and raw umber and titanium white, and that's it for the moment. It's going to change. It's going to change. But I'm just reintroducing the border between the trees and the sky. So I have already taken some paint. Well, what was it? Burnt sienna, raw umber, ultramarine blue, and laid in some paint here. But when you lay your shapes over top of other paint and just leave them, they take on a different nature than if you, in this case, lay paint over top of other paint and don't leave it, but rather you cut into those shapes that you've reasserted. It may not seem like a big deal. To me it is. I definitely see a difference in technique when I go about things this way. I like it. I like it quite a bit. See, things just sharpen up, and they're just somehow given a little more attitude when you cut back into your shapes. Many painters do that, and I'm absolutely one of them. It's a very effective way of increasing the drama. Dremel. Okay, no. I've gotten very blue there very quickly. I don't think I want it quite that blue. I don't think so. Methinks not. And even if my lines are not that hard right now, I still like the look of them being on top of these dark shapes that I put in there. Okay, a little more cobalt blue, a little more raw umber, no more white. Actually, maybe I'll add a touch of ultramarine to this stroke, because we want to take it down a notch as we get to the edge. A notch in value and a notch in chroma. Down we go. Okay, so we've re-outlined the trees. I think that is just hunky-dorky. You know, just one speck of sky in there. It gives a sense of depth to those trees just by having this one little spot of light showing through. It's funny what that little single dab will do. It's not that it always needs to happen, but it seems to do so much more. So much, it punches above its weight in the effect that it has just by adding one dab. Just a little dab will do you. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch brushes. I was using a flat number 4. Is that right? Yep, flat 4. What am I using now? Around 8. And I'm dipping into a little bit of linseed oil. Oh, sorry, I'm dipping into a little more linseed oil. I was already dipping. Now I'm dipping more. In general, I'm going to warm up the colors in the sky, okay? Something else. This is very heavy and oppressive, and it occupies too much of this corner. Bearing in mind there isn't going to be as much of this here, I still think it needs to be lightened up a little bit. So what we'll do is work towards dropping the weight. It's kind of like Jenny Craig, but more visual. We're going to drop the weight and we're going to just maybe is that enough? No, I'm going to push it back a little more yet. We're in our raw umber and our little bit of ultramarine blue and white. And as I mentioned, a little bit of linseed oil. For the rest of the sky, I will be adding bits of linseed oil, greater or lesser in proportion. Greater or lesser amounts, I should say. Someday I'm going to learn how to speak properly. Okay. Nope. Still overwhelming. It's still too overwhelming. I don't like it. Nope. I'm just pushing it back incrementally, you know, and then have a gander and make a decision from there. Okay, with that ultramarine blue and raw umber, it begins to look a little more, a little bit brown, a little bit purplish even, but that's okay. As I said, I wanted to warm up the sky a bit. Okay, so now I think that's okay. I think that's going to work. Now titanium white and the raw umber with oh so small a smidgen of ultramarine blue. Okay, trying to give the feeling of layers a little bit in the sky. Not filling in the spaces completely. It's not a coloring book. We're not just sort of filling the spaces with solid color all the way through. That's not a good idea. It doesn't work. Sometimes I do it by mistake because I sort of forget myself. Another one of those occasions where I go, oh, that looks good, and then I add a little more, add a little more. And before you know it, I've overdone it. And I really don't want to overdo it. Okay. Back to a little more ultramarine blue. A little bit of raw umber. A little more titanium white. I'm warming this guy up, but I didn't want to warm this guy right up. Like I didn't want to, I'm not aiming for a warm sky. I'm just aiming for a less cold sky, that's all. Touch the cobalt blue a little bit because that'll keep things cool. You know, my intention, you know, right now I'm not going to get so worried. I'm not thinking to myself, well, okay, I'm going to make a nice finished painting out of it. It's possible that it happens. But that's not my aim. My aim right now is just to have a little bit of fun on yet another rainy day. And maybe just do a quick demo, I suppose. Okay. Back to our cobalt blue. Linseed oil, some cobalt blue, some raw umber, some titanium white. Okay. I think we can stand to lighten that whole blob up. I'm going to lighten this blob up a little bit. May as well lighten this blob up as well. Give the entire painting a little more light. That's okay. No problem with that. No problem at all. Okay, dip into the white here a minute. Let me touch the yellow ochre. Just a smidge of it. It'll push us more in the direction of a bit of green, which is also okay. Now we're just going to lighten this corner up a little bit. Just lighten it up a little bit. Okay. I have a line, fairly strong line. You know, I think that I will do something here too. insert a line there as well. Maybe less a line, more of a border. Maybe that's the way to say it. Okay, there's life happening here. Excuse me. Try not to touch the areas that I don't need to touch. I think that, except for maybe a final touch here and there, from here this way in the sky is good. Now let's tidy this up a little bit. We can go a little darker, but not quite as dark as it is. Let's just stick with lower values, but colder colors being the main thing. This is ultramarine blue now. And a little bit of raw umber. I like those lines for the most part. Okay, a little more white. We're going to go greener again. We're going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to this mixture. Yeah, yellow ochre to the ultramarine blue. Brings us greener. It stays cool, as long as I don't bring the value up too high. Okay, I'm already going a little bit high in value, but it's not too bad. Try to lessen the difference in value between the light and dark right here. I don't want this to be too strong. You know, we have our strength of darkness here intruding into the painting. We don't want too much of that on top. But I think in general that's not bad. You know, I think that maybe we should just stop playing with it, and for the most part anyway. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to just put in I'm going to put in a little bit of a highlight. I could say here and there, but it might just be here, or it might just be there. But I see not so much the need for it as the opportunity for it. And maybe it is a need, because if the painting's about here, we need to play all of our cards up here, you know, not down here. So let's take some titanium white, a little bit of yellow ochre. This is very much in the center. That's not a big deal because we're offset on our horizon. That already helps. We have more weight here than on this side. That already helps. That also helps. This brush that I'm using right now is getting a bit scruffy. I don't have a new round one though, so I'll just live with it. It's okay. You know, and I'm gonna just more or less finish the sky on camera right now, but I'm going to be in the studio for a while tonight, and as I often do, if I see something that bothers me, I'm very happy to change it as the evening goes on. And of course, I won't do that on camera, but you will see it next time you see the painting. You'll notice it. I might remember to point it out, I might not, I don't know. Let me just stand up and have a look from a bit of a distance. Yeah, okay. All right. More yellow ochre. More titanium white. This will practically be the only warm colors. Nice thing about painting wet and wet is if you get a little too strong, you can just run your brush through it again. And suddenly it becomes weak and wet, which is just fine sometimes, you know? Okay, I think I'm playing too much, you know? I might just... I might just leave it, and if it needs something later, I can do it later. I don't have gobs of paint on there, so it's easy enough to do. Anyway, I think our sky looks good. Again, I'm playing, you know, so even for a play thing, it's still heading in the right direction. And I think I mentioned before that even when I claim to be playing often, I'm still hoping I have a painting that works out. Yeah, I'm fiddling right now. Becoming weak. Okay, I like that. I like that just fine. I'll square the camera up with the painting for a moment. Whoops. Sorry, my unprofessionalism in my camera work is astounding and amazing. Yeah, that's nope. That's not going to do it. I was going to say that's looking not bad, but you know, honestly, no, it's not looking good. I am not happy with that. That's already a little bit better. I didn't like how it sort of blossomed a little too equally on the top here. Anyway, I'm going to stop. And it's an improvement. It's not the final iteration, but it's darn close. Okay. Sorry, that center bit is a bit overexposed right now. Okay, talk to you soon, guys.